Welcome to Womanifesting, the podcast where we use our innate feminine energy to make shit happen. I'm Jodes, the curator of Womanifest, the UK's biggest empowerment and wellbeing festival for women and teen girls, and we're on a gender equity mission to living the happy, fulfilling and successful life we all deserve. Join me and my guests as we put the world to rights with a show to educate, inspire, empower, entertain and liberate you. Hey, welcome back to Womanifesting. So I'm your host, Jodes, curator of Womanifest, as we run up to the 2024 festival. And throughout each episode this year, we're going to be talking to each of our amazing speakers, workshop hosts, experience extraordinaires that will be kind of showcasing their talents and giving you the biggest and the best kind of weekend that you can experience. And today with me, I have got Leanne Brown. Now, some of you might already know Leanne because, she's been in the limelight in the past. You may remember her originally as one of the Real Housewives of Cheshire, where you spent 6 years there, didn't you, Leanne?
6 years, yeah. And it's been about 6 years since I've done it. It's crazy to think it was about 5-6 years ago. Lost count. I've stopped counting now. My birthday on Saturday, and I'm not counting now.
That's it. You get to the point where you stop counting, don't you? But actually, in those 6 years since you left, so 6 years in, 6 years out, but actually in the 6 years since you've been away from the show, you've been on quite a big voyage of self-discovery, I guess you'd describe it as, hadn't you? Particularly into your own well-being and your own wellness. And that's now started to kind of become your work. So many things have kind of been on the path throughout that voyage of discovery. You set up your own kind of brand throughout that, didn't you, with Leanne Loves? You've got your own podcast.
Yeah.
With Love Leanne, sorry. Trust me to get the words back to front, with Love Leanne. You've got your own podcast as well, haven't you? Is it Love, Peace, Truth, Karma?
Yeah.
There you go. Love, Peace, Truth, Karma. But also, I guess what takes up a lot of time in your world right now is your own retreat business, which is Eat, Pray and Self-Love. So we'll be talking a little bit about that throughout this episode. So yeah, I guess life is very, very different for you these days to how it was back at the beginning when people probably first got to know you, I guess.
Absolutely. Very different. Yeah. I think, and it's something that on this journey of self-discovery, I've really I struggled putting myself out there on the TV initially anyways. I think a lot of people would do, for the world to see. I'd sort of had a taste of the limelight with Wes being in the football industry, but it was come with all the labels and the judgment, didn't it? The WAG, and then it went from WAG to housewife, and then that came with its own judgment. And it took a lot of work to get used to being in the public eye, so openly to anyone to say whatever they wanted, really. And that I had to create a thick skin very quickly with that. It was
I bet you did.
Yeah.
And actually some people might think that would be the primary reason why I approached you and asked you to kind of come and be part of Womanifest. And actually it isn't for me. Actually, that one of the bigger reasons I want you to be involved in the event is because of your journey of self-discovery and where you work now. That's what feels more drawing for me to want to kind of have you involved and to talk to you about, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for having me anyways. Thank you for asking me to be part of it. Yeah, it's a really amazing thing that you're doing, and obviously close to my heart from following on from what the journey that I've been on. And going back to the judgment from what I was to what I am now, it's that imposter syndrome, I think I'll say I've really struggled with, you know, from being such a different, doing something so different from being on TV to then delving into that spirituality and soul purpose, if you will.
Yeah.
And it has been an incredible journey, but I always say I've learned more in the last 6 years than I have in my whole life, about myself, about the mind, about the body, about the world. And yeah, I suppose it started first when I delved into the charity work after leaving the show, and released my self-help journal. And
I've got a copy of that. I bought that at the time.
Oh, did yeah.
Yeah.
I've just written another one actually, but it's in the process of being sorted out and putting out there. But that's all like in tune with the Eat, Pray, Self-Love and the retreats, and I think that the charity work was I didn't really know where it was going when I left the show. I just knew that I wanted to delve into something that was empowering for women, because I was in such a disempowered environment in the show. And I'd done hypnobirthing with my third child, and I felt like that give me so much insight into the power of the mind and the body, and how incredible women are. I mean, I'd had 2 babies before, but I think when you're younger, you don't really think about it as you do when you get older. And having that birthing experience was so different to the first 2, because I was in control, and I wanted to share that wisdom with others, and I wanted to just share to women how that we have this such power. And even now, like delving deeper and deeper into it, to the history of women and how we were worshipped years ago, when we put on pedestals and had shrines and temples with our vulvas in, and all the stuff that's been happening over so many years, and men have been in control, and they've almost like made us feel shame and about parts of our body, and compete with each other, and it's crazy. But it is now the rise of the divine feminine, and that's why it's that we're all coming together to do something like you are putting on here, Womanifesting.
There you go, you've got it. You passed the test, because that's always the first one for everybody, is how do you pronounce this thing? We have some very interesting pronunciations of Womanifest, but yeah, so much of what you say resonates with me, because actually your 3 children are all girls, aren't they? Yeah, and so are mine. How old are your daughters, Leanne?
21, 16 and 13 next week.
How bizarre. So mine are 20, 18 and 12.
No way.
It's crazy. And we both run a retreat business.
Yeah.
Isn't that, it's really odd, you know, so there's quite a lot of things in kind of common there. So a lot of what you said massively resonated. I was the same, kind of having my third daughter. I didn't do hypnobirthing, but I felt so much more empowered and in control, making my own decisions about my pregnancy and how she was going to come into the world and how I was going to parent her in the early days. So we had a much more chilled life. You know, I was in my early 30s when she was born. I had my other 2 in my mid 20s, you know, so it's a massive difference, absolutely massive difference. You know, but talking about that kind of divine feminine energy, you know, I think a lot of people as well also think that Womanifest is simply festival of women, you know, because that's why it ends up getting called Womanifest or Womanifest, when actually it's more of a spin on manifesting, you know, and it has its own definition. I think, you know, I spoke about this in the first episode. So if people don't ever catch the first episode and just dip into these, it means when women use their innate feminine energy to make stuff happen, you know, and that's like, feels for me really of the moment and what's important and what the festival is about to do. So, you know, when you think about that definition, I'm going to ask every guest this question, you know, how does that kind of, what does that mean to you? You know, how does that kind of speak to you about using our innate feminine energy to make stuff happen?
I think for women, we are naturally led by our heart, and we have such a strong intuition, don't we? And we give our power over so easily, and that is just because of the way of the world and who's been ruling the world for so long. But I think when we're in alignment with who we are, we drop into our heart space, we can tell. I know when I let go of the resistance and I drop into my heart space and I tune into my intuition, that shit does happen. Can I say shit?
Yeah. Actually, that's the word that's in the definition. It's not stuff, it is shit, but never mind.
Yeah.
I just have to mark the explicit button on the podcast episode, that's all.
All right. Yeah, and it's like following the path of least resistance, isn't it? And like I say, I have really struggled with this, dropping into my intuition and dropping into my heart space. And I have, for so many years, I have I've not been my authentic self because I've been leading a life that is been full of distractions and been full of the materialistic things, and that's okay to have them materialistic things. It's okay to want them, but I was lost in it, and I didn't. And that's what I've done, the rediscovering of who I am and what makes me happy. And happiness, as we know, only comes from within. You know, anything outside of that, the materialistic stuff, is not sustainable. Yeah, it might bring happiness. Let's face it, financial freedom makes things a lot easier. But if you haven't worked on
bursts of joy.
Yeah, burst of joy, the Chanel bag, the Jimmy Choo shoes, it's all well and good. But when you've got a wardrobe full of them and there's still that emptiness inside you because you know you haven't took control of your life and you're not living authentically, and that's where I was at. And it's because there was massive things in my life, in my relationship, that weren't being fulfilled, and I only I could make that change. And I think we like I'm saying about giving our power over, and I think it's really important. I think the masculine and the feminine energies have been so blurred over the years, and I think feminism especially is almost been led to believe it's like women are strong, women don't need men, women do it for themselves, and men have kind of lost their place along the way because of that. And we do, I know in my relationship, I've emasculated my partner, and without even realizing. It's only now learning more about the masculine and feminine energies and what that actually means. And then I'm like, oh yeah, actually I did do that. I did take his power away because I didn't trust him in leading me. But also, I don't think well, it's the communication, isn't it? I didn't put trust in him. I didn't think he was capable of that. Therefore, he probably picked up on that, the lack of trust from me, and then he pulled further away and then resisted doing anything that would then make me feel safe in that relationship. And I've not really delved into my relationship too deeply, but you know, there was good parts, but the biggest thing for me was communication. And I think when women do drop into their heart space and are able to connect with themselves and find, one of my taglines on the show was, I find my voice and I'm not afraid to use it. And that was a massive part of my shift, I suppose, by standing up for myself and standing into my power. And I think it's about unity as well as, you know, us stepping into our power. It's about bringing the men with us and making them understand what we need from them, because women want to have their independence, but they also, I think majority of women, they also want to feel safe from that protection for men. And this goes back to the history of the women in the circles. The men would go out to hunt, wouldn't they? And they would come back and the women would be in the circles and protecting the families, but they would feel safe because the men were the providers, they were the protectors, and the women the nurturers. And I think it's almost getting back to that mentality, but not taking away from women being able to go out to work and having their independence. But I think men also need to step up, and they need to step into their power and make us feel safe and lead in the relationship, and then allow us to surrender into our true femininity.
Yeah, it's huge. I think when you start to explore masculine and feminine energy, it's very eye-opening. I've lived most of my life in male energy, not realizing, but actually looking back, quite forced into that space. It was a survival mode for me to operate there. You know, and I'm finding it really difficult to start to redress the balance. I don't think I will ever live purely in a a feminine energy space. I think I'm always going to be somebody who carries a good dose of masculine energy to me. But I've done the same with my husband. My husband actually carries quite a lot of feminine energy. So actually we've almost flipped roles at times.
Yeah, but it is again about balance. It's about balance and supporting each other. And there you go with like communication. And there's a thing that Brené Brown says about, when they come home together and they say they always have to make 100. So if one of them comes home, they say, I'm an 80, and he says, well, I'm a 20 and I've got you, I'm here to support you. But then when they both don't make 100 together, they sit around the table and they talk it out, because communication is key. And again, that's for me, what has really come up for me is my father wound, my dad leaving when I was younger, and that has really been the thing that's defined my relationships with men. Is my dad leaving when I was so young, and me witnessing him abusing my mum, and accepting that, if you will, as the norm, even though deep down it's not, but because you've been exposed to it, it's like acceptance of it. So that has been a massive part of my learning journey, to be able to delve into what is it that's made me accept there's certain things in my relationships over the years. And then it's that healing process, isn't it? And the biggest thing for it is awareness. Awareness is everything, because when you start to become aware of the triggers and the feelings that come up, that's when you can start to acknowledge them. And I say it's the 4 A's: the awareness, first of all, the acknowledgement of them feelings, because we too often suppress them, we push them down, and then the accountability of them. What was our role that we played in that, and taking responsibility for, owning it. And then appreciation of the things that we learned because of it, and appreciating where we are now, because we will always be okay. And all the crap that we've endured over the years, we've got to this point now, and it's about understanding the knowledge that we've gained because of that process. I've just recently reached out to my dad. I did just before Christmas. I did a podcast with Susie. What's her surname? Can't think of her surname, but she we opened up a conversation about healing and forgiveness, and she had a similar experience with her father. My dad lives in the Philippines, and I reached out to him. And I'd been thinking about it for years, and I'd done a lot of work with the Ho'oponopono and forgiveness. And I had this shift that I reach out to him and speak to him and let go of it, and try and heal that part, because it funneled through every relationship, like I said. And when I did it in a way of like complete compassion and forgiveness to him, even though he was the one that walked away. And we from when I was 30, I'd not spoken to him for 17 years. From when I was 30 years old, he sort of walked out and disowned us again, if you will, me and my brother. And it took a lot for me to reach out to him the way I did. But I seen him through the eyes of compassion. I seen him through, because of the work I've done, I seen him as a child in an adult's body, as we all are, making them mistakes. But actually, on reflection, I'm the child in the adult body as well. And he's just somebody's son, like I'm just somebody's daughter. And we're just trying to navigate in this world with the tools that we've got and the knowledge we've got at that time. But the response I got, even though I had to do it with intention, without expectation, the response I got was not the same as what I'd put to him. It was almost like, well, you're carrying that blame, so I'm just going to play along with that. And he's 80 now, and that took a lot of just coming to, even though we've had a couple of conversations, and now it's fizzled out again. So I've not spoken to him since before Christmas. So I've done my part in that. So it's about me being able to move forward now. I've attempted, and it didn't happen. So then that's another process, isn't it? And it's like the rejection, the abandonment, and it's all relevant, and it's all understanding ourselves in relationships. And yeah, that was a long-winded answer, sorry.
But you know what, actually all threads together perfectly around, that feminine energy, about dropping into your heart space, about really feeling your feelings and listening to your intuition and what it's telling you. so you can be your authentic self. And then when you do, then you're able, I think, to communicate your own wants, needs, desires, boundaries. Whereas, you know, my core work is as an executive coach. That's my, you know, my old corporate days, the work that's always paid the mortgage. And actually, you know, a lot of the work that I do with women, one of the first questions, you know, these are senior women, C-suite execs, and I'll say to them, you know, what is it that you want? And very rarely can she answer me. I'll always get one of two answers typically. She'll either say, I have no idea, because I've never let myself even think about it. You know, it's kind of been one of those squash things, like I don't even want to dare dream about what I would want. Or they'll proceed to tell me everything they don't want.
Okay.
You know, I hate this job and I hate my relationship and I don't want to live in this place anymore. And they're all things that they're trying to get away from rather than things to go towards. And I know that might sound a bit pedantic to some people, but it's really important, isn't it? To be able to kind of find your voice, to advocate for yourself and to communicate in that way. You've got to be able to have done the work to know what it is that you're asking for and that you want, you know. And even back to the bit about the male and female energy, you know, I think, you know, that perception of feminism in some groups, it's almost like, well, men and women, they can't both have a place. It's like one has to win and one has to lose. And it isn't about that, is it? You know, as much as like you were saying about you and Wes, and kind of how you kind of didn't really extend that trust for him to lead you, you know, and to meet your needs in that way. Equally, it's for women to I still want to really consider what my husband's needs are as well. It's not just one-way street, is it? You know, he has needs too. He needs to be listened to. He needs to be acknowledged. He needs to be made to feel important, probably in some of that masculine space. So yeah, I really love that. It does, it all threads together really, really nicely. You know, you talked quite a bit.
Sorry. No, I was just going to say about the ladies and when you're asking them what do they want, and people don't realize how powerful words are, and by saying I don't want this, I don't want that, they're actually just bringing more of that into their lives, aren't they? It's crazy. Yeah, that's been a massive.
More of those vibes. It's almost like, you know, the brain doesn't do negative command, does it? So when you know, all it hears is do it, not don't do it.
Yeah.
Anyone, I always say this about my kids. It used to drive me mental if if a child was running almost towards a road and I'd hear a parent shout, don't run. And I'd think, that kid's going to carry on running. You know, actually it needs a positive plan that either says walk or stop.
Yeah.
You shout walk, stop, they'll do it. You shout stop running, don't run, they just carry on running. Same with a drink. Give a kid a drink and they'll go, don't spill it, and the kid goes, chucks the juice everywhere. You know, whereas you're like, walk carefully. They're fine. Yeah, it's odd. But yeah, a lot of people say to me, oh, you're so nitpicky about words, Jodie. And I'm like, I'm not nitpicky. Like you said, I know the power of them, how sometimes little tiny, you know, discrete changes to language can make a massive difference to the impact you have or on yourself and other people. So I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
So, you know, you were talking a little bit there around kind of the societal bits around where women kind of sit and how they have done historically. So, you know, what's your experience as a woman being kind of, you know, in a society where we still have gender inequity and equality, you know, positive stuff, negative stuff. I don't know. I'm interested just to get have a little sneak peek through the window of what your experience has been.
Well, obviously, doing the retreats, it's a completely different environment to being anything in like office space or anything like that, and having to be faced with any gender equality in that sense. But with regards to
kind of behaviour,
well, with like the WAG, well, for instance, opening my eyes to going over to Kenya and the female genital mutilation charity with one woman at a time, that just blew my mind, you know, realizing the real difficulties that women face around the world, and how lucky we are to actually live in this country and live in the cultures. I mean, it still does go on in some cultures in this country, but yeah, that just, it was such a humbling experience to see that, and to be able to again empower women and help and sponsor the young girls that we do. It's been incredible. But for my own personal experience, I think being in it was the WAG thing for me. That was like going back to the judgment of that, because when that came about, it was the Germany World Cup, and Wes wasn't really involved in that either, but there was a lot of media coverage on the wives and girlfriends, and then there was a few that were outspoken on being very specific on saying they were not WAGs because they worked and they didn't live off their husbands, and you know, that was not their brand, that was not their branding, if you will. So I was, at the time, I had Hallie, I'd actually come from a dancing background as well, so that again I felt more judgment from that as well. And then I worked at doing beauty therapy. I went to college, left dancing, went to college, did beauty therapy, and then I got pregnant with Hallie. So I had a young baby, but I wasn't working. So I felt so inadequate because of that. And I would, when I got asked in them circles, like, what do you do? I would say, I'm just a mum.
Yeah.
And I would just, yeah, I'm just a mum. And now when I think that, for being a mum, we know is the hardest job in the world. Let's face it, it is the hardest job in the world, because you can't get away from it. You're there 24/7, and the men can go, even if we're working and we do get a job, we're still having to be the mum. We're still doing like the majority of the housework and the rest of it.
You've got a mental load of it all, haven't you? Making sure everything's planned and covered if you're going to go somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So
that must
me,
on you that time.
I felt, say that again.
It must have had a really big impact on you in that time, especially with the, you know, the spotlight being so bright as well.
Yeah. So and then obviously going into the show, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do the show, because it was sold to us like it was going to be showing women that were empowered and had their own businesses. And I'd actually started doing the kids' clothing line just before I went to go on the show, so I thought it'd be a great opportunity to put it out there. And it meant so much for me to show my kids that I was more than just well, actually more than a shopper, because that's what my eldest had said when she got asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? A shopper like mummy, because she thought it was a job, because that's all she seen me do. And I wanted them to aspire to do more than shopping. Although it's nice going shopping, but actually I wanted them to look at me and be inspired by me. So that's why I wanted to do the kids' clothing. Thought it'd be a great opportunity on the show. But then obviously realised quite quickly it wasn't how it was put across, and it was about the drama and the arguing and all that. But yeah, I think that's the biggest. So it was good being put into. It was good doing something for myself, should I say, with regards to business. And I have done different things along the way. And I suppose that was just giving me more, it just empowered me more to want to do more for myself being on the show. And obviously the more I was in it, the more I realised the circles around me weren't as real as I thought they were, should I say. And so it was sort of dismantling that friendship as well. So but yeah, I suppose the biggest thing was the judgment from the WAG thing. But yeah.
And obviously, like me, as a mum to 3 teen girls, kind of, in that sense, you know, from an inequality and an inequity perspective, you know, what's your hopes for the future, like, you know, for our girls as they kind of grow up?
Oh God, it's so hard to be a kid now, isn't it? Yeah. It's so hard. And I'm so glad that I'd grown up, in that era that we did, because there was no phone, was no social media, and we lived free, didn't we? And it is a worry.
Laid out on our bikes till the sun
Yeah.
went down.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad there was no phones when I was younger, anyways, and photographs was there. But yeah, what do I hope? I hope there is. I do think social media has its place, because there is good and bad. There is young girls out there like my Hallie, you know, she's really empowering. She's never really worn makeup on the social media. She's not bothered about sharing her face when her skin's not so good. And she's really, she works so hard. She exercises, she eats well. She's not the skinniest of girls, but she's comfortable in her own body. And what I hope for my girls is hope they see that what I'm doing and that I can rub off in them in some way, because let's face it, our kids watch what we do, they don't do what we say. And I realized that from them being obviously a Hallie asking what she wanted to be, and she said a shopper, and actually Lilia ended up doing little fashion designs when I was doing the kids clothing, and she said she wanted to be a fashion designer. And I know they're absorbing it, even though it doesn't look like they are, and they sort of roll their eyes and probably think I've gone a bit weird for me being in that housewife TV environment and then to what I'm doing now. But they'll send me little things off Instagram, and it'll be about meditating or about little things about manifesting, and I know it's going in. So my hope is for like organizations like yourself and myself to be spread far and wide, and the more us women step into our power and show the possibility of our own power, then that will rub off on the younger generation as well, and it will flood into their era more so than the negative side of things. And being able to allow them to be their authentic self and create their boundaries, and not afraid to speak their truth.
Yeah. And that's it for me. You know, obviously I do a lot of work with Girls Out Loud, which is a social enterprise that works with teen girls in the Northwest. You know, the purpose of that organisation is to help teen girls find their voice. You know, and the most common word I hear from our teenage girls, you know, see, I'm talking like years 8, 9, and 10 predominantly, is the word judgment. They're so scared of being judged because they're under the camera morning, noon, and night, aren't they? That, you know, there's no escape from some of that. And that's what I hope for them, is that, you know, that they can just live free of any judgment and just kind of let loose, just to be kind of live their life on their own terms. It's a big one. Yeah. So you've obviously made the shift then. You're living life as an empowered woman. You know, that's a word for both of us that's very much in our vocabulary these days. Wellbeing is very high up on both of our agendas. Naturally, you know, Womanifest, the event itself, it is an empowerment and wellbeing show. You know, so kind of interested just to kind of wrap things up, you know, for you, what does a sense of well-being mean, and what does it mean to be empowered? And actually, you know, it'd be great with that to hear a little bit more about, you know, the projects that you are involved in now and the things that you're currently doing.
Sorry, say the first question again. Before the projects, what did you say?
Yeah, what does it mean to you to be empowered and have a sense of well-being?
All right, what does it mean to me? Self-worth. I've recently done a belief coding session, and I've done a lot of work on different modalities with belief coding and theta healing and all the rest of it, and it is all part of, you know, just delving deeper into that journey. But even just the last one, because there's so many different memories and little bits of trauma that we've suffered in our past, and it's keeping going back and then healing that memory, isn't it? So just recently my affirmations were, I value my worth, I'm proud to be me, my success and abundance, my success and independence excites me. And I struggled so much to say I'm proud to be me and I value my worth at first, you know, because it was the memory I was working on. And even though I've done it in different words and different things and different memories, but it always keeps pulling you back. So it's just to continue to be open to work on myself and see more of myself and be able to heal the different parts of me. And I do believe it's a journey, and I do believe it's never ending. And yeah, just continue to love myself and value my worth and be proud the more I work on myself, that just being who I am and not being afraid to be that as authentically as I can. And
I guess with that whole self-worth piece as well, until that's in place, you know, the well-being bit's difficult because you're less inclined to nourish you until you see the worth in it, and, you know, to pour into you and do the work on you, and even down to feeding yourself well and watering yourself well and moving yourself well. That doesn't come easy. You've got self-worth.
And it definitely, it's, oh my God, so many shifts have happened. And it's just continuing to do that and understand myself more, or understand myself more, to say. And as I do so, be able to share that knowledge with others through my own platform and the retreats that we do. And every retreat we do, we learn more and more each time we do it, off the women and the men as well that come on it. And it's all to that experience. I just love being and doing what I'm doing, to have the opportunity to do that and almost be of service by sharing my experiences and absorbing and helping others share those and step more and more into their authentic self. And going on to the Eat, Pray, Self-Love retreat, we have just launched we are really focusing this year on creating more of a community online, as you are, you know, helping as many people as we can. And we know that times are difficult at the minute, and not everyone can afford to come on a retreat. And we have created a detox course, and obviously with Sophie's knowledge through her own journey, she had don't know if you know much about, if your viewers of, she had pancreatic tumor 15 centimeters removed, then she got secondary liver cancer 12 later, and she's just had a baby. She's got no spleen, she's got only the head of a pancreas, she's got part of a bowel removed, she was going to be read as diabetic, she's on no medication, she's healed herself completely. And the knowledge that she's gained through her own understanding of that, that's what makes us come together, the mind and the body. And we've done the detox course, but as well as that, we're introducing a subscription as well, a membership program that will enable people to get access to that course, so they can pay on a monthly basis, but also get access to us on a monthly basis too, along with other people and special guests and information. Nice. That's in the process of being launched. And we've got some exciting things coming, so I'm really looking forward to it. We have got
Go on.
I was going to say, we have got a retreat coming on the 8th to the 10th of March. I don't know when you're going to put this out. It probably won't be relevant, will it?
Yeah, well, this will go out the very, very beginning of March. So I think it'd be Friday the 1st of March.
Okay, well, it's worth saying it.
A little bit of time, you never know.
Yeah, we've got a few spaces left, and it's on International Women's Weekend as well. Yay. So it's the 8th and the 10th. So yeah, if anyone wants, I'll give you the link to book, can't I?
Yeah, and I'll put it into the show notes so that if anybody wants to go and check that out, they can. I think it's fantastic then that, you know, you're able to start making that really accessible for people who, like you say, times are hard for quite a lot of people, and often they're the women who probably need it a little more than most, you know, to be able to kind of invest in their well-being and feeling more empowered, and to get into a space that a retreat type thing provides for them. So you know, it's great if they can access that in a bit of a different way.
Yeah, we are
cool.
actually.
So, go on, sorry.
I was going to say, on the subscription, the membership program, we are donating £10 to going back to the charity, because over the last few years I haven't really done any fundraising for the charity, and it's been on my mind, obviously, with the last 2 years. They've really full. So we're going to be donating a percentage of the membership fee to One Woman at a Time as well. So that's good.
Yeah. That's actually quite a big chunk of that, isn't it? So that's an amazing donation to make. So last thing, what can people expect when they come to see you at Womanifest? Give people a little sneaky peek of what you'll be kind of sharing with everybody at the festival.
I'm going to be sharing a bit of insight. Well, I was going to get them. I don't want to give too much away.
Broad kind of, topic, to who it's for, just to kind of help people make the decision of, oh, is this the one for me?
Okay, so it's a bit of everything, really. I'm going to be able to go into calming the mind through a meditative state. No, actually, we're going to do it at the end. I'm trying to think, because I've written all the thing out, but I'm just trying to think of what order. I'm going to get you all moving first. I'm going to get you dancing, because that's a great way to get you stimulated. So hopefully you won't be falling asleep. I don't know if there's anyone before me, but it's a nightmare when you get up on stage and everyone's like really relaxed. And so I was going to do meditation first, and I thought, I'm not doing that because everyone's going to be snoring when I start speaking. So it's a bit about my story. And it is all about empowering women and, stepping into their power, really. One of my childhood idols is Wonder Woman. So she is going to be featured in my story. And that's just about finding the wonder in you. That's what it's about, finding the wonder in you.
I like that. Yeah. That's amazing. Leanne's on the main stage, which is the entertainment stage, so it's quite a high vibe area, so don't worry, there'll be no nodding off in this space, although there will be, it's absolutely fine to kind of take everybody down for a moment at some point in that session. But at the end, an amazing space at the end. Yeah, you're in an amazing space right on the kind of banks of the beautiful lake, so all we've really got to do is fingers crossed that we've got gorgeous weather to kind of do that in. If the weather's a bit dodgy, don't worry, we'll have a cover over us. But we'll be in the big space.
We can womanifest it. The weather.
We can. Yeah, we definitely will. Leanne, it's been lovely to have you come and join us. I am really looking forward to having you at the festival, as it looks on social media that everybody else is too. So it went down very, very well for people to hear that you are coming to join us. So, that is absolutely fantastic. So if you're listening to this and you've not got your ticket yet, then remember the festival is the 6th and 7th of July. We are at Cherry Orchard Farm at Oakmere in Cheshire, which is right on the outskirts of Delamere Forest. And if you act quickly, you can get your tickets a little bit cheaper, because we've tiered them to reward fast action takers. So as we record this, I think we've got about 39 tier 1 tickets left that are at £79. They might have gone by the time you listen to this, but you can at least get in on tier 2 before we head into tier 3. So make sure you get your tickets now. So Leanne, thank you for joining me. Have yourself an amazing week, and I can't wait to see you at the festival.
You too. Thanks for having me, Jodie. Looking forward to it.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Womanifesting. Remember to hit subscribe to be the first to hear when a new episode drops. And if you've enjoyed the conversation, leave us a review. We'd love you to join the conversation with us on our socials, so come and hang out with us at womanifest.uk. Until next time, remember to choose joy, choose pleasure, and most importantly, choose you.